Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening, everyone! It's that time of the year. It's the first round of the Hype Energy F1 Apex Online Racing F1 League. It's round number 1 in Australia. It's the start of the season number 20, the most important season to my mind, at least. Obviously, we are in Melbourne, the track where Damon Hill won the first race in 1996 F1 season, and obviously won the previous race in Australia, which was held in Adelaide. Then in 2002 we already remember the huge pile-up in turn 1, and now look at that track. 16 turns, 5.3 kilometers long, 3 DRS zones, so watch out for the DRS trains during that race. It's quite a flat track as well. Only around 2 meters the vertical difference. And now let's look at the action zones in or on this circuit. Into turn 1 now we can see Williams, Roy and Philip Preschneider fighting for position in that turn. That was PC season 19, and now Xbox season 18. That's a fight between, well, I don't know between whom, but you know, between an Alfa Romeo and a Red Bull. Also, the tires available in Australia, we have the softs, medium and hards. The difference between them is quite high, especially between softs and mediums, because it's a second per lap. Hards are only 1.5 seconds slower than the softs, and that's what we should know. I am Julio Massa. I haven't introduced myself. I am also quite late with this stream, to be fair, but I hope everything is working. Yes, I think everything is working, so let's just jump into the session and let's see what is going on. You can see that Can Aknici, or well, a Turkish McLaren driver, is the fastest one right now. Then we have Sheldon P2 and Prosticek, or Prosticek, depending on how we want to pronounce it, is at the moment in P3. Then we have Fire in P4, SMM Iceman in 5th, and Bailey Thompson in 6th. Then XPG Boggin in P7, and Oxygen in P8, and Volcar in 9th, Potato in 10th, Seasand in 11th, and Exo Ling. He has some sort of a lap time in P12, but that's all we know about him. Wait, him 2020 Formula 1 season. Obviously, we know that the real season calendar looks different, way differently to what we were proposed, because we don't have Vietnam or the Netherlands, the 2 tracks that were supposed to either return or make their debut in Formula 1, but we have incredible additions of Mugello, Nürburgring, Algarve and a few other tracks. But that's not the case here. We are racing in Vietnam this season and in the Netherlands, but that will come later in the season. 22 tracks, 22 race days, but not 22 weeks. We are going to actually have quite a longer season. I don't remember how long though. But anyway, this is what we will see. Valdikas, or Vodikas, again, you can pronounce it whatever you want. He's now up in 12th. The sole Alpha Tauri driver this week, and probably only, at least for now, for the whole season, because we've had 19 drivers who have been placed in this tier one of them, one driver is not present today. That would be Marb. But he will race, and one driver I think has decided to retire. So right now we have 18 drivers. If you want to come and join us, if you want to race, you can just sign up. You can find the sign up form on the Apex Online Racing website, and I think the sign-ups will reopen after the first round. Right now Boggin jumped into first place. That will be quite a good time, 1 minute 19.2, but that's still probably around 7 minutes till we start the next, till we finish the qualifying session. Iceman is in second, and Czech and Prosty Czech in third. So interestingly, Boggin is a Polish driver, Iceman is, I think, a Macedonian driver, so we can say that we have a Slavic podium at the moment, or Slavic first 3 places on the starting grid. Shout right now in P4, and then Chanak Nichi in P5. Although not, because he's now jumped into P1, 1 minute 19.0. Quite a few drivers are now coming into the pit lane, although quite a few of them are also finishing their lap times. Actually, Season looks like he is coming to the pit lane, same as Valkorn in P10. We have also a Red Bull close to finishing the lap, but they are also coming to the pit lane. That'll be Exo King. Who else is in the queue here? I think that'll be Jani Vicaniemi in P17, and that's now P11. He's just, what, 0.03 of a second behind Valkorn in P10, so that was quite a good effort. Also looks like Potato is on a quick lap, coming into turn 15 now. Quite a strange turn, quite a tough turn as well, because there is no traction on the exit, and we have this long right-hander to let us come out onto the start-finish straight, and that is only P14, so he's still quite some way off the leader's pace. That's 1 second actually down on the current leader, Chanak Nichi. We also have one Ferrari behind us, but that's Dave Gaming in P15 starting his qualifying attempt. Also looks like Voldikas in the Soul AlphaTauri is still in 16th, although he's on an outlap, same as Iceman. And who is behind him? That will be Boggin. Yes, that's Boggin, and one of the Mercedes guys, that's Oxygen. So we're still trying to find someone on a quick lap. Dave Gaming actually has invalidated his lap. Jani Vicaniemi is coming to the pit lane, so maybe Potato is trying to improve. No, he has also invalidated lap time, so that has started interestingly, or not interestingly for him. So yeah, no one is on a quick lap right now, because some people are coming to the pit lane, some drivers are on outlaps, but there is a train of 2 cars here, because Vodikas and one of the Renault drivers, that'll be obviously, as I said earlier, Iceman in the Renault. Then we have Oxygen and Boggin trying to start the qualifying attempts as well. So let's see how Vodikas tries to go through turn 1. That's quite a quick corner, but you can easily lose the front if you, or rear as well, if you are just a tiny bit too aggressive on acceleration. Then into turn 3, quite easy to overshoot, and I think he hasn't really clipped the apex here. Also turn 4, quite a tough one as well. Turn 5, you can take it flat out, but if you touch the curb on the inside, you are flying out into the barrier. Turn 6, quite hard to spot the braking zone, and then 7, 8, that's just easy flat. Into turn 9 right now, a slow right-hander, but the exit here into turn 10 is quite tough because there is no traction on the exit. Now going through that long left-hander into turn 12, maximum commitment needed here. You can't also cut any parts of these corners of these chicane, because the lap time will be quickly invalidated. Turn 13, quite a late apex right-hander. Turn 14, you have to lift a little bit here. Turn 15, as I said earlier, slow hairpin, no traction on the exit, and that tricky right-hander, you can't really go flat through there. That's of course the right-hander of turn 16, and Vodika's goes into P9. Is someone behind him? I think the guys behind him have decided to abort the laps. Fire is, I think, coming to the pit lane. Yes, indeed. Shout, is he coming? No, he's not. So let's see. Chanaknichi in the McLaren. He is in first place, obviously, right now in provisional pole position, but he's starting his quick lap right now. One of the Ferrari guys has come out of the pit lane. That'll be Dave. BenQ is finishing his outlap as well right now. That's quite a bold way of finishing that outlap. He was very close to touching the grass on the outside, entering that final corner. We'll have Valkorn also finishing an outlap, and same with Jani Vitsaniemi in 13th. And we will now have Vodikas in 9th, but obviously he is coming to the pit lane. Dave and, well, that's Potato, but he's on an outlap as well. So who is next in the queue? That would be Farian. I don't know, Furian sounds like probably that's the way you should pronounce it. So Furian in the Haas. And he is finishing his outlap. So let's see how is Chan Aknichi doing, because he is in P1. He's actually coming out onto the final straight, and is he going to improve? Yes, and he goes below the 1 minute 19 barrier. So he's the first one in the 1:18. So Dave Gaming has started another lap. So let's see, maybe that should be BenQ who's finishing his lap. Yes, but he's only just improving. Chanaknichi has retired from the session, but that's not the place to do it. BenQ jumps into 7th. Now that will be Oxygen, that will be Valkorn actually, jumping into 6th place. Jani Vitsaniemi, is he going to improve or is he going to stay? Yes, he improves into 11th. Now Oxygen in 9th and stays there. Where is Season? He has started another lap, and that will be Excel staying in 14th. One of the Renault drivers has already started another lap. That will be Iceman, and Bailey Thompson is starting another lap as well. Where is Dave Gaming and all of that? No, that's Potato here, but he stays in 15th. One of the Williams guys also is starting another lap. That will be Boggin, but he already has invalidated his lap time. Where is one of the Racing Points? That'll be Shout, and also Furian stays in 17th. Does he? Yes, he stays in 17th. But actually, he had a contact with the wall. Where is Dave? Dave is on an invalidated lap time. So he'll stay 16th, and the checker flag is out for him. So he'll be the first one to finish his qualifying attempt. Where is the next one? That'll be Prostychek in P4, right? Yes, that's him, but he's not improving after 2 sectors. So let's see how he goes through the final sector. Can he improve? Can he beat Iceman in P3, or will he stay in 4th? He goes into 2nd place, just ahead of Boggin. Now that will be Shout, that will be actually BenQ finishing his lap time, but he stays 8th. Oxygen into 4th, Season into 5th. Season stays 13th. Same as Excel King, who stays 14th, and Iceman stays in 4th. Now Bailey, does he improve? Yeah, he goes into 7th. Where is Shout as well? Here he's not improving, and he has invalidated his lap time. Same as Fire, who's going slowly through the final corner. Jani Vitsaniemi in the pit lane. Boggin, but he's on a very slow lap, and that will be the end of qualifying session. Yes, that will be the end. So there we have it. Chanaknichi in pole position, 118.8. Then we have 4/10 of a second between him and Prostyczek in P2. Then Bogin in P3, just 16 thousandths of a second behind the Czech Renault driver. Then Iceman in 4th, also very close behind Bogin because he's just 15 thousandths of a second behind Bogin. Oxygen in 5th, less than a tenth of a second behind Iceman. Shout in 6th, also very close behind Oxygen. Then Bailey Thompson in 7th. That'll be also very close because that's only, what, 600ths of a second behind Shout. Valkorn, 1.5 tenths behind Bailey. Then Fire just behind Valkorn, same as Benki, who's also just behind Fire. Then Jani Vitsaniemi, 1/10 behind the top 10. Then we have Vodikas just 29 thousandths of a second behind Jani Vitsaniemi. 100 behind Vodikas was Seasoned. And Axel King in 14th, he is just 300ths of a second behind the Alfa Romeo driver. Then we have Potato, Dave Gaming, and Furian, who really didn't have good qualifying. Right now, what we do have is apparently an AlphaTauri driver who is going to, what, start another lap? What is going on here? I mean, that's... okay, that's the end of the session. And he stays in 12th. Okay. Interesting things happen in this game sometimes, so we have to consider them. We have to remember about these weird things as well. Czanek, Nici, Prostyczek, Bogin, Iceman, Oxygen, Shout, Bailey, Valkorn, Fire, BenQ, Jani Vitsaniemi in 11th, then Vodka, Seasoned, Exoling, Potato, Dave Gaming, and Furian. That would be the qualifying order. 14 drivers within a second. And the rest, well, they were quite far away and also quite a bit apart from each other. So that's how the qualifying went. Everyone in the top 10 will start on the soft tire unless we have some rain, but I see we won't have any rain, so that's a good sign. Let me take a sip of water and we will come back in a minute. So yeah, we are now waiting for the drivers to load up. We have the information that the session starts in 23 seconds right now. So the 17 drivers seems to have stayed with us, which is a great news, especially when we have everyone quite closely matched. I mean, 14 drivers within a second. Considering also that one of them has, well, a 4/10 of a second advantage over the next guys. Well, that's not the best sign, but hopefully it will be better. We can see the predicted pit stop strategy. So only a one-stopper today. Probably that's what we have all expected. And we have also quite an easy choice for the guys who have not qualified in the top 10, because everyone, Jani Vitsaniemi, Vodikas, Season, Excel Ling, Potato, Dave Gaming, and Furian are all starting on medium tires, which is predictable, let's be honest, because they are probably the one, they will give you the best flexibility in terms of your race strategy, and they can actually go quite far. Also, the softs will go quite far into the race, so, you know, a one-stopper here in Australia, that's probably the best way of approaching the race here. So now let's just watch the drivers coming onto the starting grid. 17 of them. You can see that Furian is actually quite some way behind Czanek Nici. He's taking his time. That's for sure. Chan is actually in the final corner now, so he will have to wait a bit for the house driver, but everything is obviously within the norm because he is not falling away that much. He's just staying in touch with Dave Gaming in front of him, so yeah, everything is okay. Janak, Nichi, Prostyczek, Bogin, Iceman, Oxygen, Shout, Bailey Thompson, Valkorn, Fire, BenQ, Yanni Vitsaniemi, Bodycast, Seasoned, Excel Link, Potato, Dave Gaming, Furian. That's your whole starting grid in this race. We're just waiting for everyone to load up, and we are waiting for all the lights that are away right now. Quite a weird start because Excel Link, you can already see he's lost a lot of positions. Also Iceman and Prostyczek, he's attacking Chanak Niji into the first corner, but he stays in second. Also Bogin is now going round the outside of the Czech driver into turn 3, and now he will have the inside in turn 4 when fighting with Chanak Niji, and there was a contact. He wasn't round, but he made a half spin. So he's now down in third, and the live timing has decided to go nuts, basically. So yeah, cool. We'll stay with Bogin for now, and now I think the live timing is sort of right. There was Bailey Thompson fighting with AOR Oxygen for P. That would be for P6, and Oxygen is ahead of Bailey. No, he's just behind him. So now we have Iceman in 7th, and he was quite wide there. And we have Seasend in 8th, I think. No, Seasend is 8th, and Fire is quite some way behind Seasend in 9th. Quite a weird situation with the live timing because it's showing some weird gaps, and now you can see Bailey Thompson going on the inside of Bogin. Yellow flag in sector 3. That'll be Yanni Vitsaniemi round. Yes, he's already round and down in 16th. But Bogin is also having problems because already Oxygen is ahead of him. He started, as you can remember, he started from the 3rd place on the grid. Dave Gaming coming to the pit lane, taking already probably hard tires. No, he's taking on softs and a new front wing. Valkorn came into the pits as well for the new front wing and hard tires, and Bailey Thompson must have been round. No! Okay. So he is actually round, but like somewhat differently. He's back. But that was something I have never experienced before, I have to say. Iceman fighting with Oxygen and Bogin. Bogin and Oxygen are fighting for P4 right now, and he also has Fire. And he's in a sandwich. He was sandwiched between Season and Fire, but somehow he escapes them. Fire now loses a place to Excel Link as well. Thankfully, I think there is no damage to anyone, but that was some racing. Oxygen is ahead of Bogin right now. Bogin's ahead of Iceman. Season now in 7th. You can again see the predicted Pitstop Strategy. Lap 9 is the opening of the one-stopper with the starting on the soft. That's the opening of the pit window, and lap round, that was what, 14, 15 is when the pit window for those who have started on mediums will open. So now, Season just behind Iceman, Excel Link ahead of Fire. Well, hopefully right now no one will be sandwiched, but you can never know. And that's Bogin now completely facing the wrong way in turn 4. Looks like the front wing is okay, but that's gone from bad to worse for him. Unfortunately, he will now be almost, or will be, overtaken by Bailey Thompson, who is now down in what? Alright. And we have Bogin. Okay, so I have absolutely no idea what's going on right now, unfortunately. That was a bit weird again, but like, what is Bailey doing in 17th? I mean, He seems to have... No. No way. He's just going there in 8th gear. Easily. Breezing past Bogin. And now he's not... Okay. No, I absolutely have no idea what's going on right now. We can see that Bogin is coming to the pit lane. Bailey is staying out, but he has normal pace right now. Okay, 141, but he was in the pit lane, wasn't he? Yeah, he was in the pit lane. But... Okay, so now the Sector 1 time is already 1 minute 5 for him. Weird stuff, but we're going to concentrate on normal stuff, which is Shout trying to close down Prostyczek. Also, Iceman, who is trying to close in on Iceman. So we have two fights. You can see that Chan Aknichi is... Okay, that was quite a moment out of turn 12 for Chan, but he's still there in P1. 2 seconds ahead of Prostyczek, and Shout is around a second behind the Czech driver. He's now just outside the DRS window because the DRS activation, or not activation, the detection point is just ahead of turn 14. Someone got a penalty, but I don't remember who that was. All I know is Iceman will have the DRS to try now and overtake Oxygen, but he's still way too far behind. Fire, although he will try to overtake Excelling into turn 1, and that's quite an easy move. BenQ gets a 3-second time penalty. That's what I remember and what I see quite clearly. Vodek is also just behind the duo we've seen just a second before, so maybe another one joining the party in that fight for P7. What is going on with Bailey? He's still sort of there. Yeah, that's normal pace, isn't it? So that's... Okay, that's not really normal. I mean, yeah, that's a normal pace, I'd say. So, yeah, weird things. Bogin, again in the pit lane, and that's the end of the race for him, unfortunately, because he has decided to retire. Quite a bad start of the season, but at least he has decided to retire in the pit lane. We have a yellow flag in Sector 3, but, you know, that's not to worry. At least for now. Shout just behind... Oh, I'm sorry, we have a yellow flag in Sector 3 now, and that's Jani Vitsaniemi going round out of turn 12. That's obviously the exit of that incredibly quick chicane, which is a very tricky spot. Dave Gaming gets a 3-second time penalty, and Prostyczek, he has lost. He has been in the... He must have put it in the wall, because he's now behind Shout. He has no front wing. He's still in 3rd. Bailey has a time penalty. He is still in 5th right now, but with that time penalty, it will be quite a tricky thing to do. Excelling right now. He is just behind Fire. Let's actually see the fastest lap of the race. And that'll be 1:23.803, set by Chan Aknichi, so that's normal. And Iceman is the first one to come into the pit lane. The first one from those who have started on softs, and the first one to pit because he wanted to, not because he had to, because of some some damage to his car. You can see Prostyczek coming to the pit lane, and that was borderline speeding in the pit lane. Jani Vitsaniemi gets another time penalty. Iceman comes out in 11th, just ahead of Jani Vitsaniemi. Where is Prostyczek? Prostyczek has only just left his pit box, so he will be 14th. Chan Aknichi, 3.5 seconds ahead of Shout. That's quite a gap right now. Then Shout in 2nd, who's now 5.5 seconds ahead of Oxygen, so that's even greater advantage. And Seasend, well, Seasend right now is in 4th, 2.3 seconds behind Oxygen. 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 2 which is okay, especially knowing that the medium tires will now be a little bit quicker than mediums. You can see Fire, who was sliding through turn 13, and he's still trying to defend from Excelling. Excelling, who's on mediums as well. Meanwhile, Fire is on soft. So this is probably the moment when these soft tires really start to lose their grip. This is the moment when the medium runners will start to put more pressure on the others, and will try. And that's season round! And that season round, thankfully, he hasn't put it in the wall. But that's yet another victim of this track. BenQ in the pit lane, he has changed his front wing. He's on hards. We have a yellow flag in sector 1. That was someone else going slowly, I have to admit. Although I think that was Season just letting everyone through. Weird stuff going on in this race, I can tell you. You can see that Thompson, Bailey Thompson, is actually out of the race right now. I believe it, because he's probably 5 seconds a lap slower than the rest of the field, so that should be what is considered an AI driver. Meanwhile, Chanak Nichi is coming to the pit lane, so that's at the end of lap 8 when the race leader is coming in, and the second place car in this race is also in the pit lane. Will be the third driver coming into the pit lane. Yes, indeed. So the top 3 comes into the pits. Then Exo Link, he will be the next race leader, because Fire also comes into the pit lane finally. He was overtaken by Excel, I think, at the end of this race. But anyways, that's Chanak Nichi on hards, Shout, Oxygen, and probably Fire as well. Yanni Vitsaniemi gets yet another penalty. That will be probably his 4th of the race already, and that's the beginning of lap 9. Vodik has also came to the pit lane. You can see the pit window is now open for those who have started on softs. Shout and Furian. Shout is ahead of Furian, who has started on new tires. Now Fire trying to fight, and safety car is out. Seasoned. He must have crashed out of this race. That's turn 5. But yeah, we can now see. Let's just look left. And yeah, he has crashed out in turn 5. So these medium tires, probably Voldikas gets a drive-through penalty for speeding right now. And yeah, you can clearly see how Season has finished this race. Obviously put his car in the wall. I was talking about it during quali. If you touch the curb on the inside in turn 5, you'll just lose your car and probably be sent into the wall. And that's exactly what happened to Season. Excelling, Potato, they are all coming to the pit lane. Chanak Nichi is staying out, so he will overtake these 2 guys, but he needed to slow there. Where is Excelling going to emerge in this race? He's now 4th. He'll be probably 5th by the end of the pit lane. No, he will be 4th actually. So that is a very good opportunity for him. Obviously, everyone else will be on hards, although Yanni Vitsaniemi, no, everyone else will be on hards, because that's the moment you can change your tires and just go to the end of the race. But yeah, Chanak Nichi and Shout, they have defended their lead, so they are there in 1st and 2nd. Then Iceman, actually, he's in 3rd, so that is a good comeback for him. Excelling, as I've said, in 4th, Oxygen 5th, Potato is in 6th, so also he has gained a few positions. Fire in 7th, Furian in 8th, Vodikas in 9th, BenQ in 10th, Yanni Vitsaniemi in 11th, Dave Gaming, Valkorn, and Prostychek. They can actually come back into the top 10. Prostychek is on mediums same as Valkorn and Dave Gaming. Bailey obviously is out of the session already, as we all know. But he's still in 15th. We're still waiting for the field to form, for the queue to form behind the safety car. So let's just give them time. There's Valkorn and Prostychek going through the high-speed chicane of turns 11 and 12. We're probably waiting for them to join us in that queue, and that would be... and if they join, and when they join, that would be the moment when the safety car decides to go into the pit lane. We're on lap 11 of 29, which is still a long way to go, obviously. That's still 19 laps to go. Even if we restart the race in this lap, and there are some good odds that we will restart the race in this lap, knowing that Valkorn and Prostychek are already in turn... they are already approaching turn 6, while you can see... well, let's just watch them, because they are here. That's turn number 8. And they have reached the back of Dave Gaming, who's essentially just behind... okay. No, that would be behind Jani Vitsaniemi, obviously. And yeah, safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. So we'll have 18 laps to go on these hard tires. Also for Dave, Valkorn and Prostychek on those mediums. I'm curious if those three drivers can come back into some good points, or will the guys in front stay out there, defend well on those hards. Well, that's something we'll see in a few minutes time. Remember that you can overtake before the start-finish line, so they're still forming and waiting for Chan to start, waiting for Chan to go. He's now going around the final corner, and that will be the signal to restart. Remember, there are still yellow flags. Now they are green, so now we are racing back again. Fire already tries to put pressure on Potato, but he's still in 7th. Vodicus tries to put pressure on Furian, and he is still in the race, but he is probably out of the contention for points. Fire already ahead of Potato, and already you can also see that Furian has lost a few places. He's in 12th, now fighting with Prostychek for that 12th position. Does the no one that has any damage here, so that is good, but they are fighting for P12. Now looks like Furian is going to let the Czech driver through. Yes, indeed, that's how it looked like. And Dave Gaming is in 10th, Valkorn is 11th, and Prostychek is 12th. Let's go back to the top of the standings, because maybe Chanaknichi already is a second ahead of everyone, but Shout is under pressure from Iceman. Then we have Excel Ling and Oxygen. Oxygen is also putting pressure on the Red Bull driver, but this is effectively a train fighting for second place. Shout, Iceman, Excel Ling, and Oxygen. Let's see from the onboard of that Mercedes what is going on here. Excel Ling is still just ahead of him. You can see he's around half a second behind Iceman and Shout, so they are quite some way off the other two drivers in that train, but they will all have the DRS. You can also see that Fire and Potato and BenQ are all part of the train, and Dave Gaming's round. Jani Vitsaniemi gets another time penalty. Vodicus comes into the pit lane, that's obvious. He will take on some used mediums. And Furian is in 12th, as I've said. But Dave Gaming, that's the guy I was looking for. He is in 13th now. But obviously he has lost more time than places because he was already towards the back of the field anyway. Shout has already pulled a gap of 1 second over Iceman. DRS, I think it will be enabled right now, although I'm not sure. If it isn't, then it's okay for Iceman still. But now he'll have to find... Yeah, DRS is enabled right now, so he is in... So he's still around the DRS zone of Shout, but he is losing time probably like crazy. Yellow flag sector 3, someone's also off, and that's Jani Vitsaniemi out of the race. Meanwhile, Furian fighting with Valkorn. Valkorn has lost a huge chunk of his front wing, really. So he's in 11th now, and he will start to lose a lot of time. Iceman got a time penalty, still within the DRS range of Shout, but only just now out of it. Now again back in that range, and he will have the DRS to defend from the train behind him on the next straight, but he's already 1.1 seconds behind Shout. They are going through turn 13 now. Remember that the detection point is right here, and he's over 1 second behind Shout. Excelling, Oxygen, Fire, Potato, and BenQ, they will all have the DRS behind Iceman, who will not have the benefit of that system. He's trying to break the slipstream on the start-finish straight. As you could see here, you're allowed to do one maneuver when defending, then you can obviously return onto the racing line around the braking zone, but that's it. Valkorn comes into the pit lane to change his front wing. That's obvious, as we all know, because he's lost a huge chunk already. So yeah, Chanak Nichi 2.3 seconds ahead of Shout, then Shout 1.3 seconds ahead of Iceman, and there is a huge group fighting for that podium position. Iceman in 3rd, Excelling in 4th, Oxygen in 5th, Fire in 6th, and Potato, well, he's now outside the DRS range of Fire, but maybe he will still try to come back into it. He will have the DRS this time round, I think. Yes, he will have it. So also BenQ and Prostyczek, who's already up in 9th. So he's still fighting for points. Probably good points as well. So let's not cross out the second Red Bull driver in that fight for podiums, or maybe not podium, but in the fight for big points. You can see that Excelling is probably 0.6 of a second behind Iceman exiting the start-finish straight, but he is probably half a second behind him when they finish it. That's still quite some way off, but they can fight, they can still be considered one train. Dave Gaming and Furian, that was an exchange and a fight for P10. Dave Gaming is on medium tires, which is quicker obviously, but they will probably wear a little bit more after his spin, so maybe Furian will come back at him later on in this race. We still have 14 laps to go, maybe 13 and a half for Chanak Nichi, but that is a fight for the final point, so we'll have that in mind. Prostyczek, he's just behind BenQ, so he will need to have this the DRS right now, and probably need to make a move on the Racing Point driver right now. They are very close. Looks like also BenQ was trying to defend, to choose his defense line quite late, but that doesn't matter because Prostyczek is now up in 8th, although he will have to defend now because he won't have the DRS from Potato, and BenQ will be around 0.6 of a second behind him when they enter the start-finish straight. Link and Iceman have changed places, and now that's Oxygen up in 4th as well. Iceman still doesn't have the DRS, and Fire will have the benefit of the system, so let's see if Fire can also go up the inside into turn 3. Yes, he goes there with ease. So we have Link in 3rd, then Oxygen at 4th, Fire 5th, Iceman is 6th, Potato is 7th, and Prostyczek is 8th, but he is still some way behind the DRS zone of Potato. 8/10 of him, 8/10 between him and Potato, so he will have the DRS now. Volkran sets the fastest lap of the race, so that's probably not surprising, given that he has the youngest tires, the freshest tires of everyone here, and Potato now is ahead of Iceman, so Iceman has lost another place. Okay, Iceman has lost the front wing end plate in 7th now, so he will come into the pit lane, obviously, and change his front wing. So now Prostyczek is in 7th. He is trying to fight to catch Potato, so maybe he will fight for P6 even right now. Iceman meanwhile on medium, so he will have the freshest tires of the field, but he will be outside the points. You can see that he's behind Furion. Well, is Valkarn? Okay, so he is way behind Iceman. But Iceman will have to find, what, 12? 13, 14, 15 seconds? Let's just wait and see. 14.5 seconds. Prostyczek gets a time penalty when fighting with Potato, but now he'll try to go down the inside into turn 9, and that's an easy move. Close the gap between him and Fire, but Potato 8/10 of a second behind him, so he will not obviously have any possibility of overtaking Prostyczek. He will benefit from the DRS obviously, so he will have an easy time when defending, but that will be all he can do. Oxygen, he's trying to fight Link, but he also has Fire on his tail, so we have a train of 3 cars fighting for the podium, because as I've said earlier, Chan Agnici 4.4 seconds now ahead of Shout, and Shout is 3.1 seconds ahead of Link. So that the first 2 places are probably set in stone right now, but the rest is quite unknown yet. So 4 point. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong chart. 4/10 between Link, Oxygen, and Fire. So that will be the fight here. For P3, Iceman and Dave Gaming, they are getting penalties. Actually, what's going on with them? Iceman is 11.6 seconds behind Furion. So that is... I'm sorry. He has made up 3 seconds, I think, since he pitted. So that will be in the last 2 laps. So he may actually catch the top 10. He may get into the points paying position, but that will be all he can find. So maybe 10th, maybe 9th if he is lucky with Dave Gaming's penalties. Vodikas gets another penalty, but he's way down in 13th, so it doesn't really matter. Where is some... yeah, he's in 13th. He's actually last because he's 19 seconds behind Valkarn, and Valkarn himself is 15 seconds behind Iceman. So let's focus on the train fighting for P3, because as you can see now, everyone else is outside the DRS zone of anyone else apart from that podium, and Prostyczek, he's trying to catch the trio ahead of him, and he's doing it well, but he's still 1.8 seconds behind him. So is there any possibility that the Czech driver can catch the trio ahead of him and take a podium? Remember, Prostyczek put the car in the wall earlier. He was probably way down in almost the last position. He lost huge amounts of time earlier in the race, and now he can even return to the podium. Everything obviously depends on the way he closes the gap between him and the trio ahead, but there is a potential for his podium, and obviously it all depends on the amount of penalties everyone else has. I think he has 3 seconds of it. I think he has 3 seconds worth of penalties. But that will be all. Around 4/10, 5/10 between Oxygen and Fire. Right now, Fire is trying to make a move on the Mercedes driver, but that is not really working. So yeah, they are there, probably locked in a fight, but they are really just using the DRS and no one really can attack anyone else. But there is this guy in 6th, Prostyczek, he is there. Also Vodicus right now coming out of the pit lane on soft tires, so he will attack the fastest lap of the race. Oxygen gets a time penalty, which can change the things just a little bit. Well, we still have to wait. 6.8 seconds right now, by the way, is the gap between Czarnagnici and Shout. So he's quite some way ahead of everyone else. Quite a dominant performance from the McLaren driver today. Iceman set the fastest lap of the race. Actually, what is this lap? 1:23.217. So that is the lap time Vodicus needs to beat in order to take that fastest lap. Well, not point, but award, because obviously he's way down in 13th. He will need to make up probably more than a minute on everyone else, so that would be impossible, given that we only have 7 laps to go. 7? Yeah, 7. So yeah, Prostyczek now is just behind Fire, but crucially, Oxygen is outside of the DRS zone, of the DRS window of Excelink. So Fire may as well try to fight the Mercedes driver. He tries to go around the outside in turn 1, but that's not the way to do it here. And that brings Prostyczek, who will now easily just breeze past the Haas driver, and he will now try to go down the inside in turn 3. No, that's a little bit too hard. But he is now up in 5th. BenQ also fighting Potato. That's a fight for P7, and Potato is ahead. Yes, he is ahead of the Racing Point. Yeah, he had to back out of it. There is also the Alpha Tauri of Vodicus, who is trying to unlap himself. Obviously, he can't really distract anyone else when he's doing that, but he can freely unlap himself if he feels that he has better pace than anyone else. So now, Prostyczek, half a second behind Oxygen. He will have the DRS. Oxygen will not have the DRS because he's lost that just a lap ago. He lost the DRS behind Excelink, obviously. So right now, Prostyczek just behind Oxygen. And Oxygen lost it on the curb exiting turn 13. He's still there in P4, but that was a big, and oh, okay, so that was Prostyczek who made a mistake, and now Fire tries to come back on him. He lost the momentum going out of turn number 15, the Czech driver. Vodicus sets the fastest lap, 1:22.722, I think. That was the lap. Now is Fire going to go round the outside of Prostyczek? Or yeah, they've touched, but that is all. Yeah, that is all. But Fire is ahead of Prostyczek, so the Czech driver will now have to rethink what he's done earlier, and now he will have to attack again. Vodicus gets another time penalty, but am I surprised now? Not really. But also, does it change anything for him? It doesn't change anything. BenQ gets a 3-second time penalty. It doesn't change anything for Vodicus because he is still in 13th. And last, BenQ is in 8th. Although Fire now going ahead of Oxygen. Oxygen looks like he doesn't have any problems with the front wing, but he's lost his pace and he's lost P4 right now. Prostyczek is down in 6th, but he's trying to fight Oxygen and Fire. He's trying to go there. And Vodicus gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Sorry for losing sound for a little bit. Vodicus retires from the session. And that's it for him. BenQ now in 9th. Just to remind you, lap number 25. Chanak Nichi has won this race probably because he leads by a country mile. Prostyczek 8/10 behind Oxygen. Oxygen is still fighting. I think Prostyczek, what happened here? He has hit the cliff probably, and that's why he's now losing time to the guys in front. Also, Exceling now has a breathing space of 2.5 seconds between him and Fire, so it looks like... Oh, I'm sorry, a little bit of a disconnection right now, but I'm back. But yeah, it looks like Exceling is closing down on Shout. That's the only thing, because Prostyczek now gets a time penalty, which is weird, but okay. He's still behind Oxygen. And yeah, he will try to overtake the Mercedes driver. But it really doesn't work right now. BenQ retires from the session, but he does that in the pit lane, I think. Anyway, Exceling now 8/10 of a second between him and Shout. So yeah, so maybe we will have a fight between them. 4 laps to go, so that's very close to the end. Oxygen now 4/10, yeah, 5/10 behind Fire, and Prostyczek also very close. Okay, so now the final few laps of the race. Oxygen is still trying to close down Fire, and Prostyczek is still hanging on in that P6, but it really is... I think it's done. I think it really is done, although... I mean, sorry, no, not really is done. But I think that Prostyczek is done. Oxygen, 4/10 between him and Fire, so that would be probably one of the last chances he will get to overtake the Haas driver in 4th place. I'm sorry for being a little bit erratic right now, but I'm starting to lose a little bit of voice, so I'm trying to talk less. But let's see how it goes. Anyway, Oxygen still just behind Fire, and the question is, can he make a move on the Haas driver or not? Let's see. Let's compare the battery power they have. Prostyczek gets, I think, 3rd penalty of his race, so his fight for the podium is definitely done. So yeah, let's see the battery power, and you can see that Oxygen is only on, well, 10% of the battery power. Meanwhile, Fire is on 30%. So probably that's the reason why he's still quite comfortably hanging on to that 4th place, while Oxygen is trying to defend really hard. Well, not really to defend, but he's just trying to stay, to hang in, hang on behind the cars. Now, Exoling, he's on 45% of battery power, which is way more than Shout has at the moment. Chanak Nichi, as you can see, is whoa, in a league of his own right now, because he's 11.7 seconds ahead of Shout, and Exoling, he's in 3rd. He's 3/10 ahead of, well, not ahead. He's 3/10 obviously behind Shout. But interestingly enough, Fire also is closing down on the Red Bull driver. So you can see we have a pack fighting from P2 to P6, and we still don't really know who will finish where. Apart from obviously Chanak Nichi, who will destroy everyone else in this race. He has, by the way, started the final lap of the Australian Grand Prix. But that is really all we can say about him, because he is just beating everyone else as if they were on way different level than him, or maybe, I don't know, on way different cars. Anyway, that's not the point of debate right now, because Exoling, half a second behind Shout, but he's still there. He's still around half a second, maybe 3, maybe 4/10 behind him, but he's still not making a move. Same with Oxygen, who is still in 5th. You can see that Prostacek, he has lost the momentum, he's lost the pace. He's still around 2 seconds behind the 2 guys in 4th and 5th. But he will have to defend from Potato, not in a literal level, in a literal way, but he will have to defend from him on penalties, because we all know that Prostacek has got 9 seconds worth of penalties. Meanwhile, Potato, I don't know if he has penalties. So we'll see how the classification shakes up after the race. But right now we can see that Exoling probably lost his final chance to overtake Shout, although Shout now makes a mistake coming out of turn 13. Chanak Nichi wins the first race of the season of the Apex Online Racing Season 20, Round 1 in Australia. Shout comes in 2nd, although Exoling overtakes him on penalties. Fire comes into P3 after penalties, and Oxygen is 4th. Shout is 5th. Prostacek is 6th, and who will be 7th? Will it be Dave Gaming? Will it be Potato? Who will be the 7th guy? That will be Dave Gaming. Yes, indeed. Potato in 8th. 9th place for Iceman, and he sets the fastest lap of the race. Then we have Farian in 10th, and Valkorn will be 11th. Yeah, and Bailey obviously is out of the session. So yeah, Valkorn in 11th. So that's it. So that's the race. So there we have it. Chanak Nichi wins the Australian Grand Prix. Exoling is 2nd and Fire is 3rd. Then Oxygen, Shout, Prostacek, Dave Gaming, Potato, Iceman and Furian closes the top 10. Then Valkorn, Bailey Thompson, who has disconnected quite early because of this, you know, this weird incident where he was flying. BenQ 13th, Vodicas 14th, Jani Vitsaniemi in 15th. Well, actually, BenQ, Vodicas, Jani Vitsaniemi, Season and Bogin, they have all retired from the session. Wow, that was quite a weird race, I have to say. I have to say that was quite a weird race. Because I don't really remember seeing this many weird incidents, especially with flying beneath the race, beneath the surface. I don't remember seeing it in this game, at least. Also, quite a few drivers seem to have problems with this circuit, because we've seen quite a lot of spins, but that was normal, I think. Quite a normal level of attrition for Australia, all in all. But yeah, let me know what happened. Not really what happened. Let me know what do you think about this race. I'm sorry for all the inconsistencies and mistakes I've done during this race, because, as I've said, I was quite late when I started doing it, and still not everything worked fine. But I hope it will be better next week. I hope the game also lets me let me to switch it off. But yeah, that's not of your worries, that's only my worry. Anyway, thank you for being with me, for also spending the night with me. I know it was tough sometimes, but I guess it was okay in the end. As I said, I hope that all the mistakes will be better next week. Yeah. Yeah, that will be, I think, all I wanted to say. So, yeah, thank you for Hype Energy and Elgato Gaming for making this stream even, possible. I was Julio Massa. That was the Australian Grand Prix, the round 1 of the Hype Energy Apex Online Racing PC F3 League season number 20. And we will see you next week, probably around the same time. I hope the stream will be live a few minutes quicker than it was tonight. So probably around 8 PM UK time, or 9 PM Central European time. I'm still hoping to see what is the next race, but I think it will be Bahrain. I have to just confirm it. And yes, Bahrain indeed will be the next race in a week's time. So until then, see you soon. As I've said, thank you to Hype Energy, thank you to Elgato Gaming, thank you to all of you who were there. And yeah, once again, I was Julio Massa. That was the Australian Grand Prix round number 1 of the Hype Energy Apex Online Racing season number 20 PC F3 League. And yeah, thank you for joining me, and good night.